Hi guys, thanks for joining us today. So we're here to talk to you about development grants today, but just before we crack on, just do housekeeping for you. So as you can see, there's a couple of icons here, like a green tick. Oh, hi Heather, thanks for joining. Just in time, we're just about to start. So just saying, there's a couple of icons here that we might ask you to press as we go through, just to make sure you understand what we're saying. Etc. etc. So if we can just give me a green tick, just to make sure that everyone can hear me and see me, Annaelise. 1, 2. So we've got 2. So Nick, Simon, Heather, can you hear me okay? Nick, Fab. Simon and Heather, can you hear me? So Ian and Jonathan, if you just don't mind unticking for me, that'll be great, and then we'll sort of crack on. If you need to adjust the slides, guys, there should be a little icon on your bottom left where you can zoom in and out, just so you can see the whole thing. As I said, the icons here will be there for you. We'll like as we just did, we'll go through it, and if I have any questions. Oh, Neil, thanks for joining. I'll just do some housekeeping, Neil, so you haven't missed anything, don't worry. Just use the icons and the ticks if you need it. And yeah, I'm just making sure everyone can hear me.
We will be using the chat box, guys, throughout the presentation, so anything you want to ask, if you pop it into the chat box, and then towards the end of the session, me and Rich will collate everything, and anything you need, we'll get back to you. If you find that there are any connection issues, don't panic. We'll be recording this live webinar today, and we'll be uploading this. We'll let you know the details for that towards the end as well.
Yeah, and just on that, if you can just send a message to the host. Simon, thanks for the tick. You can tick that now. If you just send a message to the host and presenter, we'll all be able to see your questions, and hopefully we won't miss any. But as Annaelise said, it's being recorded, and we'll be able to answer all the questions at a later time. So I think following that, we'll get started. So hi everybody, we're here today to talk to you about applying for a development grant. I'm Richard Lawrence.
And I'm Annaelise.
And this is what we're going to cover today. So we're obviously going to talk to you about development grants, which is one of the Sport Wales community grant schemes. We're going to discuss how much you can apply for, what projects are eligible for funding, who can and cannot apply, and then how our useful tool, our useful club solution support will be able to help you with your grant application and your running of your club, and a lot of variety of different really useful resources are on that website. So we'll discuss that briefly for you as well. So if we just do the first green ticks of the one, just want to check it. If you send me a green tick, guys, just to make sure you're all still with me, you can hear me. Heather, you okay? Neil? Fab. So once if you just untick the green then, guys. So what was the development grant? What is it? So as I already touched on, it's one of our community grant projects that we distribute to a variety of different sports clubs all across Wales for a variety of different sports. The money comes from the National Lottery tickets, from the Good Causes programme. So whenever you play lottery on a Saturday night or whenever during the week, a portion of that money is collected and allocated to Sport Wales, and then we distribute that to local clubs and organisations within the community to promote sport, to make sport grow, and help with the enjoyment of sport. So if we just move on, so let's talk the finances of the development grant, which is the most important thing, of course. So the maximum you can apply for in a development grant is £25,000. Now your project can cost more, but Sport Wales will only contribute a maximum of £25,000. Now the minimum there is 1,900. So some of you may be aware that we do have another community grant scheme, but if you notice on the slide, the difference between those two mainly is in a development grant, the applicant must contribute a minimum of 20% of the total project costs. So therefore, if the project is below £1,900, you're better off going for other community funding scheme. But if it's anything between £1,900 and £25,000, you come to myself and Annaelise for a development grant. So if you're a community club or an organisation and you're not for profit, the minimum contribution is 20% of the total project costs. If you are a private organisation or a private club, town council, local authority or a national governing body, the percentage is slightly higher. It's at 50% minimum. Now, as you can see, it does say 20% minimum, 50% minimum. It's worth being aware that they can change. They can be slightly more. So just bear in mind that is a 20% minimum or a 50% minimum for the contribution. So next slide.
So just before we move on to the purpose of the grant, guys, can you all just give us a green tick so you can hear us properly? Just let us know that it's all going okay. Brilliant. Yep, and then if you can just untick as well then. That's great, thanks guys. Okay, so if we move on to the purpose of the grant, so the Sport Wales Development Grant, we primarily fund outcome-based projects that focus on encouraging sport and physical activity in the local community. When we look at the applications, two of the main points we look at, as you can see, we've got increased frequency of regular participation. So in the most basic terms, we want more people involved in sport, enjoying sport more often. So that can be individuals who already participate in sport, moving on, trying something new, or even just adding every week, going to new sessions. And then also brand new people involving them into sport so they enjoy something. And then secondly, we want to target inequalities in participation. So with targeting inequalities in participation, we're looking at targeting BME groups, women and girl groups, disabilities and areas of deprivation. And I think, Rich, you've got a pretty good example of one of these. Yes, I do.
So we did a grant for a completely new boxing club in quite a deprived area of Cardiff. It was quite unique actually. So they wanted to start. It was a completely new boxing club. So they had to work closely with the Welsh Boxing and then Sport Cardiff to try and get the project up and running. But what was quite unique about it was that the facility they wanted to use was actually owned and run by the local mosque. So it was Sport Cardiff, the applicant, and then Welsh Boxing had to go and meet the elders of the mosque to gain permission for the club to use those facilities. So it was really quite unique, and it was a really good collaborative project of all these different organisations coming together to do a really brilliant project and get more people active and get people back in sport and enjoying sport as well. So it's really, really good project there. So it's a nice little example there for you. So Nick, I have seen your question. If you just don't mind sending that to the host as well, and we'll be able to hopefully see what the problem is. But we carry on with the slides. So the who can apply for. So Annaelise, would I be able to apply for a development grant on behalf of my club, but using my bank account details?
Well, if you put the application, you can apply for the actual development grant, and you couldn't use your bank account. So we just move on. There you go. So any group that holds a bank account in the organisation's name can apply. But like I said, the Rich, he couldn't come in with his name, even though the application can be through Rich. It has to be the organisation's bank account name. Okay. And then Sport Wales would recommend that you are affiliated to your national governing body of sport. So, for example, if you're football, you're affiliated to the FAW. There are times where clubs might not be affiliated due to financial issues. And if you sort of speak with us, have a chat with us so we can understand that, that's absolutely fine. But if we move on to the final point, we hold a higher risk sport list. Now, if you were sport or if you were club is on this list at all, you have to be affiliated to the recognised governing body to gain funding from us. So the higher risk sports list, for an example, would be combat sports, gymnastics, anything that's a high risk. So just bear in mind that if you do come on that list, you must be affiliated to that governing body. Any questions on that, or if you want to link to that list, we can provide that at the end as well for you.
And just on that note as well, guys, so it's not just your sort of traditional sports clubs that we do fund. We do fund organisations that don't necessarily do sport day to day, but they want to start doing sport. That's something we can definitely look at. We did the development grant in North Wales for a neurotherapy centre that they wanted to bring that sporting element to their organisation. So that is something we can definitely do. Obviously, it just has to be related to sport, and it's a goer really. Yes, Ian, archery is deemed a high risk sport due to just the nature of the shooting the arrows, etc. So it is on that high risk sport. So you would have to be affiliated to the governing body that we recognise, which is the Welsh Archery Association. So moving on, to who cannot apply?
Good.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter, you want to know? Can you start a Quidditch team?
So unfortunately for Mr. Potter, he cannot apply for a Sport Wales development grant because Quidditch, unfortunately, as I'm sure you all devastated to hear, Quidditch is not an officially recognised sport by Sport Wales and the other home councils. So he would not be able to. Sports that are not officially recognised by Sport Wales are ineligible to apply for Sport Wales funding. As you can see on the next point, so organisations whose proposed projects have already started, so we don't do any retrospective funding. So if you came to the project and you had 10 elements and maybe one is already started or paid for, we can just cross that off and do the other 9. That's something we could do. But if you bought all 10 items or etc., etc., we wouldn't be able to do that, unfortunately. So no retrospective funding. So the educational establishments, we can do grants and projects based on the site of an educational establishment, so your schools or your universities, but we can't do it for the activities for the pupils or students of that establishment. It has to be for the wider community. So we can do it on school sites, it just has to be open for all. It can't be for during school time. And then finally, as I'm sure you all guess, any projects taking place outside of Wales, we can't do. It has to be taking place in Wales, so the great Welsh public can benefit and they can get back into sport and they can start enjoying sport. So that's what we all want to see. So, moving on.
So, what Sport Wales are looking to fund? So, as you can see, priority would be given to applications that directly focus on the activity in question. So the most simple way to explain this is we fund on the field, not off the field, so on the court, not off the court. So if we use an example of a boxing club, we wouldn't be able to fund showers or if they needed a new boiler or anything, but we would be able to fund a boxing ring or any equipment that would directly focus on boxing. So we understand that, different clubs would need, shower facilities, and they're nice to have. That's not something you come to us for funding for. We want to just be directly focusing on that sport, involving participants in sport and make sure they're enjoying it. And then secondly, we want to offer new and or additional provision. So we always say, try and think of a nice innovative project, something different or a new group coming into the club. So we've had a lot of, traditional clubs like football and rugby are bringing in a women and girls section to the club and also disability sections. So really focus on that and really think about what you want from your grant. So do I need this equipment? How is this equipment going to benefit me and how is it going to benefit the participants in our community as well?
So, what costs cannot be covered? So anything to consider to be the organisation or the club's normal running day-to-day costs or your core business. So that's things like maintenance, repair, replacing if there's old wear and tear, rent, insurance, affiliation costs, those sort of things. Anything that we deem to be day-to-day core business isn't something we would do. So projects relating to your NGB requirements. So, for example, if you've got promotion into a new league, so there are some requirements. For example, if a football club has been really successful in their first team, have been promoted to a higher league, and then there are rules that they need new dugouts. Unfortunately, that's not something that we would contribute towards. But there may be help elsewhere. So I know the FAW Wales are quite good with things like that. So, I mean, by all means, come and have a chat with us, and we might be able to direct you to someone else who will be able to help you with that particular funding criteria. Then coach education courses that are deemed to be elite or performance. Now, here at Sport Wales, we are really, really keen to upskill people and send them on new coaching courses and get their level 1s and 2s and things, because we would see that then as they would be able to go back into the community, back into their clubs, and deliver better sessions, and people will enjoy their sport more, and people hopefully participate more because they've got a really good coach who's got really nice new ideas, so they'll enjoy it and they'll improve. However, what we wouldn't then do is fund anything that is deemed, as I said earlier, elite or performance. So for most sports, it's mostly we will do level 1s and 2s, and anything else higher is deemed, like I said, elite or performance. There are certain sports, like gymnastics is a good example, that we do go up to a level 3. That's because, as you can imagine, the nature of the sport, it can be quite dangerous with all the flips and stuff. So for certain sports, you need to have a certain level of qualification to be able to run your club and run your sessions. But just again, as I said, if you've got any questions or queries on the parameters, just give us an email. We'll let you know our email address at the end, and we can be able to answer that question for you. So we just move on again.
Okay, so examples of good practice when submitting a development grant. So initially, we always say, speak with your national governing bodies and have a chat with your local authority sport development team. For us, these are key partners. When we receive an application in, one of the first things we'll do is we'll chat with the governing body, we'll chat with the sport development team, just to get more of a feel for the project. So we would see if they have been in contact with you, do they think it's going to benefit the local community? So really, they are our key partners, so please ensure that you do have a chat with them and explain the project, and they can also help you as well with your application form, and they can give you a feel for what Sport Wales are looking for as well.
Yeah, and just below that then you can see that what we've started to introduce now is expression of interest form. So again, at the end, we'll provide you with the emails and how to access that. But what we do recommend a lot of people, all applicants, to do now is if you just complete that expression of interest form first, send that back to us. It just gives it's just a one-page Word document where you can just briefly tell us the aims of the project, who you are, what you want to do, and then we'll be able to give you an honest view whether we believe that your application, your project, is eligible for Sport Wales funding. And you know, as you can see, you know, Annaelise is a great girl.
She's a great guy.
Just keep in regular communication with us, you know, and your governing body and your local authority. You know, we're here to help. Please do pick up the phone, drop us an email. Just keep talking to us, and we will give you honest answers straight away up front. And you know, feel free to submit draft copies, and then just obviously take on feedback, because obviously we're here to help you as a governing body and local authority. And then just utilising the resources, other resources. So like I spoke at the very start of the webinar, Club Solutions website, which I believe Annaelise is going to talk to you a bit more about now.
Okay, so some of you might have already accessed the Club Solutions website and some of the really good resources that are on there. But if you haven't, you can find things that will help you with developing your social media, club development plans, finances, GDPR. And as we're talking about a development grant today, obviously we would want to make sure that your financial situation is in the best hands it can be. So if you go on to www.clubsolutions.wales, you'll find lots of financial templates that you can download. You can use at sort of club committee meetings, organisational meetings, and it'll really sort of help you and guide you. And following on from that, there is a Club Solutions assessment tool, which we always recommend that clubs would go on there and utilise this. You go through it's such like a multi-use sort of answers, and you'll find that on there as you go through, it will tell you what your club is doing well, if you've sort of hit targets, and then how you can improve. If there's certain things that the club are not doing, it'll highlight this and it'll say these are ways you can improve, and it'll give you information on there. And finally, as Rich said, we can't fund everything, but if you go onto the Club Solutions website, you will find resources on different external funders. So maybe we could fund part of your project, and then you can look on Club Solutions, you can find some external funders, and they can add to the project then as well.
Okay, fab. So we have seen your questions, guys, so we will answer them in a second for you. Just before we do, just for more information there, obviously this is being recorded, so if any guys have arrived late, don't worry, you haven't missed anything. We'll be able to distribute the video for you guys later. But as well, if you happen to lose the email or forget the video or whatever, if you go to our website, there the details are there, www.sport.wales/funding. There's loads of information there for you guys that you can get and recap and, oh, I forgot what Rich said, or what did Annaelise say. It's all on there for you. But to request the expression of interest form, this is the email address you'll need, guys, okay? So it's grants.funding@sport.wales. We'll leave this slide up for a bit now for you guys, but that is the email address that you'll need to access that expression of interest form. And with any other general queries, it comes direct, any email goes there, directly comes to myself, Annaelise, and our colleague, Kerry Richards. So, any questions, send it to there, and one of us three will get back to you. And then information of where the grant funding comes from. Obviously, you've got the little email, the website there, thank you, www.lotterygoodcauses.org.uk, and that'll just sort of tell you where the funding comes from, and there's probably some nice projects on there as well. And if you need the governing body contacts as well, if you drop us grants.funding@sport.wales, we'll be able to get that for you. Some you'll be able to find on a nice little quick Google search, but if you struggle, we've got all the details. So just, as I said, drop us a nice little email on grants.funding@sport.wales, and we'll be able to get back to you. So that's it, guys. Thank you very much. Diolch yn fawr iawn. We do have some time for questions. So if you just want to chuck them in the chat box. If I quickly answer a couple of questions that have already come to us. So Ian, to answer your community chest question, so no, the maximum community chest is still 1,500. However, as I discussed with the contribution, for example, if you were to come and apply for a development grant for £1,550, yes, it is over the community chest threshold, so in theory it should be a development grant. However, with development grants, all development grants, doesn't matter how much you're applying for, it's a 20% contribution. So if it's anything under £1,900, you'll actually save money by applying for a community chest grant and then paying the added on extras. So that's why we said anything 1,900 and above should come to us, and anything below probably still stay with community chest. Yeah, sure. So
Jonathan, your question on wanting to build a separate change room to introduce a women and girls team. I can understand where you're coming from there, but as we said, changing room, shower facilities, that's not something that we would fund, but we would fund. So if you wanted to upskill your coaches or put new coaches through coach education, we could fund that for your women and girls team. We could also fund startup equipment, so the balls, the cones, training bibs, anything like that you could come to us for. as we said, if you pop on the Club Solutions website, there might be some external funding sources that you could utilise to look at doing a change run for you. Or alternatively, if you use the Grant Funding email, drop myself, Rich, an email. We can have a little look through some grant funding opportunities and send them through to you as well.
So guys, just going to give me a quick green tick to make sure you're all here, or spice it up with a smiley face if you want, or a cool guy sunglasses. If you've got any questions, you know, shut them in the chat box. Nothing's come up yet. You know, maybe we just aced it and we was just that good. Oh, there's one coming in. Okay, fab. Oh, there it is. Bear with me 2 seconds. So, so we don't do car parks. Sorry, whoever answered that question's not showing, but we wouldn't do a car park. The new shooting ground, that needs some work to develop the field because it's unsafe and unstable condition. So potentially we could do some drainage, but we would obviously need a bit more information on that. Drainage work we do contribute towards, but we would need some more information on that. So if you could, as I said, if you could send me an email to grants.funding@sport.wales, we'll be able to get an expression of interest and you can put some more details on that. We wouldn't probably do any work on the playground because obviously we would focus more on the sporting elements rather than the playing elements. So Jonathan, what about floodlighting? Yes, we do contribute towards floodlighting. Again, you know, send us the expression of interest in forming, Jonathan, and we'll see what we can do and work with you. Heather, would you fund coaching courses / first aid for mini rugby, training equipment and rolling out new kit throughout the club? So for that, Heather, we would fund the coach education courses and the first aid, yes. The rugby training equipment, we would, yes. If you're referring to new kit as in playing kit, that isn't something we would do. But the other 2 elements we would. So if you've got any more questions, guys, if you want to give me a nice little tick if you're happy, or smiley face, you know, whatever you guys want. Nice smiley. Yeah, there you go, Ian. And Jonathan, thank you. Thanks, Nick. Oh, there's one more chat. No problem, Nick. No problem at all. So, as we said, but we've got the slide up there for you. Sorry? Oh, sorry. Hi, guys. Great short straight there. Is it possible to get a little one to one with the guys have tons of questions to you? Yeah. So hi Mark, if you drop us an email with grants.funding@sport.wales, either myself or Annaelise will get back to you if you've got loads of questions. You know, it may be in a phone call conversation that we need, and we'll send you all that. But yeah, so just drop us an email and we'll get back to you.
No problem.
Thanks everybody. So thanks very much. I hope that was all good for you. Diolch yn fawr iawn. If you need the slides in Cymraeg, if you need them in Welsh, just let us know and we can translate them for you and provide them and send them around to you. But yeah, thanks very much for today. Hope you all enjoyed. As I said, I'll leave this up for you. If you need anything, please do drop us an email. grants.funding@sport.wales. Yeah, thank you very much. Diolch yn fawr iawn, pawb.
Thanks. Thank you.
Cheers all. Thanks. Bye now.
Jonathan Hicks.
Has left the meeting.